Hey guys, this is Chodaro and welcome to another tutorial. This one is on my own original design that I call the Electro-Cute bracelet. Yes, isn't it funny? Electro-Cute? No, it's Electro-Cute. So I'm trying to hide my little thing down here, up here, but this is done on a 5-pin bar setup. And this is the back, simply because I'm not a fan of a single chain border, but the looping on the center bands is quite the same. And then the front, I like how it's wrapped, and then it has a little bit of a twist on the sides. So, pretty cool. Pretty flat. This one is done in all LE, and I'm going to do LE again for the tutorial. And this is just one loom, so you can see 2 looms will be needed for a full wrap. So this is your setup. Your first and second at the same height, your center one peg down, and then your 4th and 5th at the same height as your first and second. So standard border, which, let me see, I think I'm going to just do pink. So I want to lay a band down in the center, and then just taking it out to the sides as we normally would do, and then we're just going to take it all the way up on both sides. So standard border, all the way up, and same for this side. Okay, so we'll go ahead off camera and finish. And then whenever you get to the end of your loom, you're just simply going to take a band in on both sides and then down in the center, like that. So that will be your at the end. Okay, so let's finish up our border and then we'll meet back for our next step. Okay, so we have our border done all the way to the end, and yes, I went all the way to the end. Okay, so our next step is going to be laying these white bands. Okay, so if you want this wrap band to be a different color, all right, I'll have to show you. I guess you'll have to see. I'm going to use, I think it's from the Enchanted pack, but it's a glitter pink LE. So what we're going to do is first we're going to place a band going from the end diagonally up in, okay? And then from that same peg, we just take a band out, like that. And that's all we're going to do all the way up. So wherever you left off is where you place your next band. So I left off here, I place my next band here. I left off here, I place my next band. So making sure that you're going in, and then the same as this side, making sure that your bands are going in each time. Okay, so for the wrapped band, it is the band that's going diagonally up, I believe, is the band that gets wrapped. So if you wanted to change a color, I think that would be the appropriate one. Okay, so we can finish this step up and meet back for our next step. And you're going to take this one all the way up to the end where you can't place any more. So your last one you're going to place is going to be diagonally in, and the one that goes across is going to be your border. So you're just going to finish off by placing one diagonally in. Okay, once we have our second step of borders or bands on our loom, we can start placing the center bands. So, color. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should use gold. Or what to do, or white. Maybe I'll do white. Alright, so the bands that we place first are going to be these gold bands that I have here, which are going to be from this peg to that peg. So you're going in as an arrow. And then the next set of bands that we place are all of these pink bands. So which means I want to change my colors. Okay, then I'm going to place a band going from that center diagonally out. So first will be an arrow going up, and then the second will be a V. Okay, so then we just repeat that. So then we just go up one peg and go to the center again. And then go up one peg from the center and go out to create a V. So up one, creating an arrow, and then out from that center peg, creating a V. So you're always starting from the outer pegs going in, and you're always ending the sequence by taking the band from the inner peg out. I have done this bracelet 38 times today alone. It's insane. I had designed it a couple weeks ago, I think, and then forgot to write down or take pictures on how I did it, and then I got sick. So when you're in the zone, I was in the zone of design, and then you get out of the zone, yeah, you can't rely on memory at all. So I'm hoping that it turns out the way that I want it. I think it will. Okay, let's finish this up to the end, and I'll meet you up there to explain a little bit of the end part. Okay, so when we get to the end here, so my next one would be going from the out in, and that'll take me to that center peg. Okay, and then my next one will come down. So you're really 3 pegs down from the center when you're doing your center band out. Okay, and so our next step would go from this peg, and we don't have a peg up here to catch it. But because when we started the bracelet, we only, which I'll show you at the end. My point here I wanted to show you is that you can add another set of bands that's going from the center out like that, and that will close it up. So when you come down to this beginning, when we started with this band on these two pegs to make this arrow. And then when we did that, we actually started the arrow or the V below it. But when we do it, I don't know, there's always one ahead, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so the last step is what will be the background of the band. So in my case, I did the border, which was black. And so it kind of shows up on the front. This is the back of the bracelet, and you can't see it as much because you'll see more of that second center band that we laid, but it's more of, you can see it more on the front of the bracelet. Okay, so I'm going to try something new or different. I'm going to try to go with this, I think this is the Enchanted Blue maybe, but at their LE, the sparkle. And we're just going to make these starbursts. And the reason that I want to do this is because I was looking for ways to find a cap band without having to put cap bands everywhere. So this is what I came up with. Oops. So I'm just laying a starburst. So I laid that star, and then at the end of this one here is when I started my neck. So I put one going out, this one going to the right, diagonally down. This one I already have, so I can skip it. And then I go ahead and place that one diagonally down to the left, diagonally up to the left, and then one forward. And then again, I'm going to start where I left off and put one diagonally up to the right, diagonally down to the right. I already have this center one, so then I come over and do this one on the left. And then you want to go up to the left and then straight forward. So your pins are going to have a lot of bands on them. And I'm also going to cap it. So just a regular cap band on there. So again, where you left off, right here, out to the right, down to the right. Skip the center one and go down to the left, up to the left, and then straight forward. And oh wait, I don't need to put caps on all of them. Let's keep caps on all of them. So we go diagonally out to the right, down to the right, down to the left, up to the left, and then straight forward, and then cap it. So just a regular starburst, which we will loom up first, and that will be a cap band for every band we loom after that. Okay, so that's what we have. That's what we're going to finish. Let's finish that all the way up to the end of our loom, and then we will start looping. All right, all right, all right. We have all of our bands placed, and we turned our looms around, and we're ready to loom out the band. So the first step is just looming out all of these starbursts all the way up. So we're going to start in the center peg underneath the cap band and mess it up. Christy should have known better. Hold down that cap band. So every band should go back to itself. Pretty standard looming. Okay. And then the last band is going to go straight forward. Now, you can use that as your cap band, but I noticed when I used it as a cap band one other time, it was really flimsy on the inside, and we need to have it pretty tight because this is a tight loom. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that cap band on there. So again, we're just looming all the bands out in order. Somewhat of a weird order. Oh gosh, please tell me I didn't. Okay, good. That one's last. Alright, so then that makes this pretty tight compared to this one here. So then I'll do one more with you. Again, so we have this band that came forward, then our cap band, then we can grab the top band and loom it back to itself. And like I said, my intention for just adding this to the bracelet was just for cap bands on all of these pegs. Okay, so that's what you'll have. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to loom that all the way up to the end. And then when you're finished, I'll meet back here and then we'll loom out the center bands. Okay, so once we have all of our center bursts, if you will, loomed out, we can loom up the center bands, which is really simple. We're going to start in the second peg, and our top two bands should be the two bands that are coming down from that arrow. So we're going to take this first one and not going straight down, we're going to take it over to the left. So the peg right in front of it. And do the same thing for this side, like that. And so we want to cover all this up because if you notice, like for this pink band here, it's visible on both sides. So everything is kind of like sandwiched on the inside of it. So now we can come down to this first center peg here, grab the top band and bring that back to itself, and same for the other side, like that. Okay, so then that will kind of close everything, sandwich it up there a little bit. All right, so we want to go ahead and do the same all the way up our loom. So your band that is in the arrow form, which is the one that we made a V, but now it's opposite because we turned our loom. So you want to go into the peg ahead, and in my case it's always the white band, and I just want to take it down to the side and take it down to the side. Okay? And then I want to go back down a peg and grab this pink band and bring it back to itself. Okay? So then again, I go up 2 pegs. So we skip this peg and we go up to the next peg. Take the band on top. It goes down to the diagonally, down diagonally. Then we go down a peg and we grab this band, take it back to itself, and this band back to itself. Okay, so again we skip a peg, go up to this next one, top band, down diagonally, go down that peg, top band back to itself, and top band back to itself. So then we skip a peg, go to the next, bring this band down, go down a peg, back to itself. Come up 2 pegs, go down a peg in the center and grab these bands. So they have to be pretty strong bands. These pink ones. we'll do one more. So we just ended here with this peg. We skip, go to the next. Instead of this band going back to itself, it's just going to the peg in front. Instead of this band going back to itself, it's just going to this peg in front. And then we go down a center peg and grab these two bands, which are going back to themselves. Okay, so you should have pretty nice size hole opened up there in the center. So we'll go ahead and we'll finish that up, and we'll meet back down at the center for our final steps. All right, so now that we have the center part of the bracelet loomed out, we can now finish up with our border. So I'll start on the right side so you can see better. We're going to go into the center peg and loom out these bands that go down to both sides here. So I'm going to start on this right side. So the next band in line to be loomed is this band that's going diagonally up to this peg. So we want to loom that one back to itself first. And then we can come back down and grab the bottom band, which is the one going out to the right. And that clears everything from the center. Now we still have a band for this peg here that's coming out from this peg. So we want to go down a few bands and we want to grab this. It's the second to the last band. And we want to loom it out to the right. So that way both of these bands are on this peg, and then we want to go back in and loom the border band straight ahead like that. Okay, so after you loom the border band, then we want to go and we want to grab this band here. So it's the second to the last band, and we want to bring it up and over like that. Okay, so it was the second to the last band. Because if we look back on the original, it's always the band that's coming up diagonally. Okay, so now that we have this beginning part finished, every step here on out is to go in and grab the diagonal band, which is the last band on this peg, and loom it to the right, and then go into the peg above it and grab the second to the last band, which is this band that's going, that's not the right one. The second to the last band, and it's going to go over to the right like that. So this band right here, after we loom forward the border, you're grabbing this band up and over. Okay, so we'll loom forward the border band, and so out of the two bands that we just loomed to the right there, we're going to go in and grab that band and bring it up and over like that. Okay. So again, we start with the last band on this peg, which is diagonally to the right. Grab the second to the last band on this peg, which will come over to the right. Now that concludes every band that's coming to this peg here. And then we finish by bringing the border forward and then going down and grabbing this band here. We're bringing it up and over. Okay, so we go in diagonally, and then we go over. I can't see what bands I'm grabbing. What was the wrong one? And there's tons of bands on these pegs. Ugh. Now I have to look down here so I can get the right band. There we go. Okay, so that band came over. Border goes forward, and then we come down and grab this band and bring it up and over. or bottom band. It is difficult when you're using a light colored band and you used a light color, or when you're filming. So I need to get these in the right order. And they're not. Ay, ay, ay. All right, let me fix this one up and then I'll be back. Okay, so hopefully you're getting the hang of it. I'll come over to this side and I'm gonna grab the diagonal and bring that out to itself. Come back down the bottom band over to the left, like that. And then we want to come in and grab the second to the last band, pull it over to the left, and then the bottom border band up. Okay, after the border band comes up, then we want to go through the border band there, and we grab this second to the last band on your peg and bring it up and over. Okay, so then we come up and repeat. That one's always easy because it's the only band on your peg. This next one, this white band down here is pulled tight. That one's on top of the band that's coming straight out that we're trying to grab. So I know that was my issue earlier when I was trying to push my bands back, because there's a lot of bands on that peg, that I was grabbing that one instead. So you want to be careful of that. As long as you can make that teardrop, then you know you've grabbed the right bands. But it is holy moly tight. If you're using LE bands, it could be a lot looser if you're using opaques or what are they called? Metallics. So I'm going to do one more. See, I grabbed the wrong one again. It's really not that difficult. It's just when you're filming, you can't put it in your lap, you know? Put it right up in your face in Loom, like I like to do because I don't wear my glasses. Ugh, that one's still gonna go that way. All right, I will fix this one up now, but I think you guys have enough instruction that you can finish it up the loom. And just be careful, be cautious to grab the right band and not the wrong one like I've been doing. So let's finish that up and be careful. Make sure that your pegs are pushed down because it is a little bit tight. And then I will meet you up at the end of the loom. So we are finished. finished looming up our bracelet all the way up until the end, which you just bring in your side bands to meet in the center, and then I just did a slip knot for my close. Okay, so then you come back down and it's pretty tight. You can see, and mine is bowing, but if you're looking through the side, you shouldn't have any bands left over. And we're just gonna pop this off pin by pin. So you can either do the whole border first, which might be the easiest. But one thing I noticed is you want to make sure that you grab all those bands together. If one of them slips like this and then you pull it over, you're going to probably wonder why some bands are looking twisted in that. Okay, so once we get our border, then we come back down and then we can just do our center bands. There isn't many that are on the center peg, it's just that cap band. So once you start these, that cap band should just start sliding off. But be very careful because these are tight. And then we don't want to, see how I didn't grab the last band? That's yucky. We don't want that. And now I can see in there it's all out of place, but anywho, I did it again. So let's go ahead and look at that. I did unloop. Gosh, goodness sakes. I'm gonna say I forgot to loom the band. Oh, I didn't. Yay! It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. It's the last thing I want. So let's go ahead and pull all of this off the loom and see what we come up with. All right, so here is our finished bracelet. I love how it came out. I'm very impressed. It actually came out pretty darn good. So a little bit at the end, it's a little bit loose, but once you put your C-clip in there, you'll be good. It's very tight, but it's nice and flat and even, and I think that the back side looks just as nice as the front, but I just like the overlapped border, so that's why I chose this to be the front side. So you have a hole in the center because that's where we had our cap bands, and I did put the blue behind it. I think it came out pretty darn cool. So you can see how much of that Starburst does come through the whole bracelet, so you can pick out some pretty cool color combos. So this one here is 2 full looms, and it is a little bit big for my wrist. Well, I just stretched it, so let me unstretch it, because it will go back to this form anyhow. So it is a little bit big for my wrist, but I noticed when I give bracelets away that when I gauge their bracelet to my wrist size, they're a little too small for most adults. So this will be good when I give it away. So you might want to make it just a tad smaller. Okay. So this is the Electro, and then, oh, look at that little bunny. That kind of cute. So Electro-Cute bracelet. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope you're satisfied with your rendition. Please make sure that you hashtag it on Instagram, and love to see your color combos and renditions. And there's a little hole there. I'd like to see who is willing to add bling in there, but it's pretty tight. So we'd have to see. But thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.